Hi, my name is Sylvia Call, and I am going to be presenting a lesson that I've used before for some of my ninth grade English students once we have finished the Romeo and Juliet play by William Shakespeare. This is something that I would do kind of at the completion of reading the play and prior to doing a review for a more formative unit assessment. So the lesson goal that I would share with my students is a speaking and listening goal of initiating and participating effectively in a range of collaborative discussions, one-on-one, in groups, and teacher-led discussions with diverse partners on grades 9 through 10 topics, texts, and issues, building on others' ideas, and expressing their own clearly and persuasively. So for this one, this is typically a nice break once we have read through the play Romeo and Juliet. Typically, students know how the play is going to end beforehand, but it's still a pretty heavy play, and we have at the end of the play, we do a lot of conversations and discussions about who's to blame for what happened to Romeo and Juliet. Is it their own fault? Is it the fault of the families and this perpetual feud? Is it fate? Was it the friar? Who's to blame? So we have a lot of kind of hard conversations led by evidence in the text, and students kind of go back and forth and debate and argue over their opinions on the text. So this is kind of a nice fun activity that kind of breaks that up a little bit, and I feel it's very helpful in still creating a great lesson for students to kind of review the elements of Romeo and Juliet, but in a more lighthearted way, which is kind of nice with a heavier play. So I would read, "Lords and ladies, we thank you for gracing the peasants with your royal presence. We have been to the theater to see the latest production by the bard. We were so inspired by his tale of love, betrayal, revenge, and loss that we used this newfangled device called the internet to create memes. We hope you enjoy our creations. We will await your royal decree with bated breath, and the winning group of peasants will rejoice heartily when the good news is delivered. Sincerely, your loyal subjects." So at this point, I would kind of introduce the assignment. So students will be breaking up into groups of 3, and they will be tasked with creating 3 original memes that relate in some way to the play Romeo and Juliet. And I have examples that I share with them. So as a whole group, we kind of go through these examples, which I'll kind of flip through while I'm talking. So we would go through these and I would explain some of the elements of creating a good meme. So it's almost like a pun. And we in the course discussions, we would have already covered puns, and we would have done some examples and probably done some work with memes in the past. So this is something that students would be familiar with. They would have that prior knowledge. And typically, I don't have to do a lot of explanation with memes. That seems to be the language in which my students speak anyway. So they're pretty well versed in memes as it is. But we would kind of go through some of the expectations and some of the options for students. As far as logistical, we would talk about, how realistically, how do you create a meme if you've never created one? I offer some resources for meme creation within the breakout room, so they have it there. We kind of talk about, students have used different meme creators. They've done it on their iPhones. They've created memes using PowerPoint slides and just taking a snippet of it. So there are a lot of different ways logistically just to create the meme. We kind of talk through that. Students give some suggestions of things that they may have used in the past, typically when we're talking through that. And then we talk more in depth about the actual physical layout of what a good meme should look like. We talk about, what images do we use? What fonts do we use? How much text is the right amount of text? And we kind of go through some of the ones that my past students have created. So this one was created by a group of students. It says, "Hey girl, I got banished from Verona, but I could still live in your eyes." And it's got like a little business dog. This one, the group chose to use an image from Beauty and the Beast. "Romeo and Juliet," you say? How the heck do you read this crap? So we kind of go through different options, and we talk about, you could do all kinds of variations on themes. So you could do a meme based on the reaction of Queen Elizabeth to this play, or based on the reaction of the peasants in the audience, or you could do something from Juliet's perspective, or Romeo, or the priest, or there are a lot of different options. So they have to kind of start planning in their heads, what do I want to do? What theme am I going for with this meme? And how do I convey that? And how do I convey that in a funny, punchy kind of way with minimal words? And then, as we're going through these examples, this is one that students typically, they're very divided on. I find that students typically think it's a very funny meme, and they like the SpongeBob reference, but the pixelated quality of it is not great. So we kind of talk through that, how can we be more mindful about creating something that's visually appealing, that's clever and punchy, that relates to the play? You have to kind of package it in this complex way for it to be a successful meme. And the end goal is for them to submit one of their 3 memes to me as their submission to the contest. And then typically I judge it along with some other English faculty members, and it's typically an anonymous voting situation, so they don't know which students have created which memes. And the winning group, all 3 members, will get 5 bonus points that go toward the unit assessment. And they also get bragging rights and a cute little flyer that I create, like a little PDF that declares that they are the Lord or Lady of Verona and are, recognized by William Shakespeare and Queen Elizabeth herself. So, they get some bragging rights. So we kind of go through all of these memes. We talk about, just visually, how impactful is it? What's the most appropriate font to use? What are the best images to use? What do you like that my past students have done? What would you do differently? So we have this good conversation. They can kind of critique the memes of my past students, and they're not going to hurt anybody's feelings because there are no names attached, and none of those students are in this current group. And then once we've kind of gone through that, they have the expectations. At that point, I would send them into the breakout rooms. They would have a copy of the rubric in there that just provides a refresher of those expectations. And then they would have the resources for the different meme generators if they choose to use one of those. And I always tell them they're welcome to do whatever they're comfortable using. So if they have something that they would prefer to use, they're welcome to do that versus the ones that I offer up as a resource. Typically, this lesson spans about 3 days, sometimes 4, depending on how much time they need to work together. The first day we would just go through and we would have a lot of good discussion regarding, what does this meme say to you? Is it funny? Is it related to the play? Do you feel like it could be better? What about the image that they used? How does that work with the words? So even though it's a lighthearted assignment, it's still fairly complex if they're successful. And they typically get very competitive with this, and they're very excited about doing memes because that's kind of their thing. So to create a really good meme, they have to have really good knowledge of the original work that they're referencing. And they have to kind of use their creativity in a way that kind of melds that original source material with the words that they're choosing and the imagery that they're choosing. And they really need to kind of do it with a brevity that's going to create a punch. So it takes some thought and some planning to create a really good meme. So that first day I would introduce the assignment, answer any questions that they have, show these examples, lead some discussion, and then give them probably a good 15 minutes at the end to break into those breakout rooms and work with their groups. So I would pop in and just give, feedback, answer questions that they may not have wanted to ask with the whole group. And then that second class session, the next day, would be dedicated almost entirely to working in the breakout rooms to create their memes. The third day typically is spent entirely with them presenting. Each group member needs to present at least one meme as part of the rubric. And it's usually a lot of fun that third day. They just get a kick out of it. They try to one up one another. It's a lot of fun. And then I always, send it out to the other English faculty members so they can kind of vote on what their favorite one is. And then, I announce it the next day, and I have the, the little PDF certificate that they get. So it's a lot of fun. It's something that they always enjoy. So it's a good lighthearted lesson to do prior to jumping into that unit review and that big unit assessment for Romeo and Juliet. So it gives a good review. It gives good time for them to do some collaboration to meet that ELA standard. And it's just kind of a lot of fun. So thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the opportunity to share this lesson, and I'm hoping that I have more opportunities to share more lessons with you. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.